So let's go ahead and get to the first match. Ryan Nemeth, the Hollywood Flunk, and Broken Matt Hardy defeat the System, Brian Myers and Eddie Edwards. So we've done a good job of keeping the System strong, but we need to get them some title challengers, and the way they're going about it is super convoluted. Man. So Eddie Edwards and Matt Hardy started the match, with Hardy having put out the most of the offense in. And Brian and Eddie kept Nemeth separated from Hardy with the help of Alicia Edwards after the stretch. Nemeth escaped via DDT to tag Matt Hardy, and Hardy displayed heavy offense and a great sense of ring awareness. And even when Myers and Edwards isolated and picked out, Matt Hardy tagged Ryan Nemeth in, and Ryan Nemeth got the victory. I think he did like a big splash off the top rope. So Ryan Nemeth gets the victory, right? And then post-match, keep that in mind. Ryan Nemeth gets the pin. His first match in the company, he's getting a pin. Or second match in the company. Post-match, TNA World Champion Moose to join the System in a beatdown of Hardy and Nemeth before Nick Nemeth made a surprise return, saving his brother Matt or his brother Ryan and his homie Matt. It was an okay match. The Hollywood Flunk, Ryan Nemeth, is not any good. And I told you guys going into it, like this guy isn't any good. He's a good guy to have around as like your friend, but like you just don't want to see the dude wrestle. And you can tell, like, as far as skills wise, even he's like way behind everybody. Matt Hardy can't even sit down and stand up quickly, and he's way ahead of Ryan Nemeth. But so Matt Hardy gets the victory here, but he doesn't get the pin. So we go to the backstage segment. I'm gonna skip over the ABC one real quick. Go to the backstage segment. So Ryan Nemeth and Matt Hardy are not confronting, but they're backstage with Santino. And Santino say, "Hey, I like what you guys did out there. This is great." Nick Nemeth is with them. In fact, you guys beat the tag team champions, so therefore I'm going to give you guys a tag team title shot. And Matt says, "Well, I didn't come here to win the tag titles. I came here to beat Moose for the world championship." And then he goes, "Okay, well, that makes sense. Now you have a title shot at Against All Odds." Matt Hardy hasn't had a single pinfall over anybody. In fact, he lost his first match. In his second match, which was that big convoluted 16-person tag, or 32-person tag, or whatever it was last week, he was in the match. Joe Hendry got the pin. And here he is in another match, and Ryan Nemeth gets the pin. This guy hadn't beat anybody. And he's the number one contender. Because Moose speared him. Or Moose tried to attack him. So, you didn't say, well, hey, you're a legend, you're a former world champion. You don't deserve to be treated that way. Out of respect to you and everything that you've accomplished, I'm going to give you a title shot, despite the fact that you haven't been able to beat anybody. He didn't say that. He said, "Oh, well, Moose is mean to you, so here's your title shot." And then Ryan Nemeth gets the pin. So they wanted Ryan Nemeth to get the pin because now we got the Nemeth brothers, Nick and Ryan, getting a tag team title shot, which is whatever. I think with everybody in the match, they can kind of disguise the fact that Ryan just can't go, keep his interactions like limited, and if he is in there, he should be getting his ass beat and getting all the heat, setting up Big Brother Nick for the hot tag. Let's just hope he can sell, because he can't perform moves. Like his transitions are terrible. Like he just looks lost out there every time I've ever seen him. The guy, he's just not very good. He could probably be a good heel manager, but as far as like a in-ring worker, not very good. But look, this is how they get to keep Nick Nemeth around. A guy wants to tag with his brother, and I get it. It's probably something that they've always wanted to do, and they've never been able to do before, because Nemeth got signed to WWE at such a young age, and he became a star right away. Well, not right. I shouldn't say right away. That's not true. He came in, went through the OVW system, and then he was a Spirit Squad, and then of course he was a caddy for Kerwin White. So the guy really did earn his stripes. No, I don't want to say that he just became stars right away, but he was a star in that company for a very long time, and he was a star at a very young age. And his brother never made it in that system, because we can see he's not any good. Probably a nice person, not good in the ring. But that's how they get there. Broken Matt Hardy is probably one of the weakest title challengers that we've seen in a long time, just by virtue of like kayfabe. because he just hasn't beaten anybody since he's been in the company. But it just get I hate stuff like that. I think the challengers should at least be on a winning streak, or unless if not on a winning streak, then they need to at least have a ton of heat. And Moose picking on him doesn't mean that there's a ton of heat. Not at least not to me. Also backstage, the ABC members Chris Bay and Ace Austin. So they were talking with Jim Miller, and they said that look, in order for them to get on the same page, this came from Ace Austin, we need to fight. They've been trying to break these guys up for a long time, and they're dragging it out. And I don't know who is going to turn heel on who at this point, which I think is interesting. A lot of times you can always tell, and one would think it's going to be Chris Bay, but it's probably going to be Ace Austin. Now that I think about it, Ace Austin was a very good heel when he was X Division champion, so it might end up being him. All right, and then we get to the Rascals. Wentz and Miguel defeated Sinner and Saint, Travis Williams and Judas Icarus. So I talked about these guys, I think like a month ago over WrestleMania weekend. They had announced that they had signed with TNA. Now it has not been TNA has not said that they had signed here, and I honestly forgot that we all had that conversation that these guys were coming in, but here they are. They finally showed up. So, and of course they got their ass kicked. But I thought they looked good in defeat here. But they got no pomp and circumstance, no entrance. They were already in the ring as far as I can remember. And they got beat pretty cleanly, and they got some offense in. Their offense looked really good, but for the most part, they were just there to do a job. So if this was their audition, I think they availed themselves pretty well. I thought they were pretty good. And they put them in there with the right team. And then, of course, afterwards, like a lot of the TNA talent came out and said, hey, look, I'm really glad these guys are here. They're very good. I think they're like Canadian dudes. But hopefully they are signed, because look, we just broke up. We're breaking up ABC now. Grizzly Young Vets are gone. Motor City Machine Guns are gone, which that ruined 2 tag teams, because you had the Machine Guns and then of course you had the Time Splitters. Haven't seen Kevin Knight in a long time, so his team with Kushida is dead. So what? Who do we got? The System. We got the Rascals. The System and the Rascals ain't gonna fight because Rascals are heels. And so it's first I thought First Class was going to be a tag team, but it looks like AJ Francis is going to go the singles route. So they gave them some tag team wins, but they haven't really done much with it. Well, we got the good hand jobbers. Ain't never won a match. FBI. I don't think FBI were in Kentucky. I don't know. I saw a little bit of the spoilers, but I didn't see any of their names on anything. I guess they got to wait till TNA goes back to Philadelphia to bring those guys back. I thought those guys were good. I like those guys, but I guess it costs too much to bring to Kentucky. We got to, have the good hand jobbers. So we could use some tag teams, and they're a tag team, and they look pretty damn good to me. Post-match, Steve Macklin came out and laid them both out. So I think that was his way of ending the feud, because he's in the back, and Santana confronted Steve Macklin, and so Macklin basically said in the backstage interview that he's done with the Rascals. He's sick of them. He's done with those guys. He's moving on. He wants his revenge against Santana. Santana confronted him, challenged him to a match, and so that's coming up next week. And then Frankie Kazarian, they cut to Frankie Kazarian. He's berating Jade Chung, and he wants basically bullying Jade Chung because the way Jade Chung announces him. And then he ends up grabbing the mic and then announced that he has left the building a la Elvis. So he is the king of TNA, but he's more like the Elvis king. So there you go there. And then shortly after that segment airs, Josh Alexander tweeted, it's like, that wasn't a smart thing to do. You can ask Moose. So I think that's where we're going with Frankie versus Josh, probably at Against All Odds. That would be my guess. I don't know that you wait to hold that match in Montreal. I guess you could. Josh is hurt right now, so he can't really build the match in Against All Odds. So, but I think that they could get there, even despite the fact that Josh isn't there. He can cut promos on his phone. So, and then next, Cody Deaner comes out to the ring doing a stupid gimmick and calls out Jake something, and then talking about, hey, look, we're cousins, we're family, and sometimes family fights. He goes, I don't want to fight you anymore. I want to fight with you. he said basically I deserve getting my ass kicked last week, and then the good hand jobbers interrupted, and then Jake Something and Cody Deaner then proceeded to beat up the jobbers. They had a brawl, and of course Santino Marella came out and made a tag team match. So there you go. Well, I don't think we needed it, but it was fine for what it was. Jake Something's awesome. They're still teasing the heel turn with him. Backstage, Jordan Grace cut a promo on Marty Bell and the upcoming match with and here comes upcoming Tasha Steelz, and then backstage segment featuring the System and Joe Hendry. So this was weird. So the System were cutting a promo, and one of the cameras was really good and actually got good shots of everybody. But then when they would cut to the wide shot, and every time they cut to the wide shot, it started glitching out, and I'm like, you guys just should not have even aired this. This is garbage. How unprofessional can you be? That was terrible. I could not believe it that they did that. But what are we gonna do? Hey, guys in the chat, Billy and Nonzo, I'll get you guys in a sec. But anyway, so Joe Hendry came in and interrupted them, and Eddie Edwards challenged him to a match for next week. So they're planting the seeds. I'm fully on board with it. It's Joe Hendry versus Moose at Slammiversary, and that's smart. I think Hendry has the momentum. I think that if they would have went with Josh, it would have been like we've already been there, done that. I know we've already had the Hendry match before, but it was on like a TNA Plus special, and it sucked. And one of the questions I had about Hendry is like, hey, he can be a comedy guy, but can he be an ass kicker? Can he get mad? Can he actually work with a heel and get heat and all that stuff? That's not funny heat, right? Which is what he did with Moose before. The whole match was a joke. It was a .combat match, and they had Moose dancing on a virtual reality headset. And then leading up to the match, he did the Dancing Moose song. And it's like, okay, it's cute for an opening match and for whatever you're doing digital, but like this is the world championship. Moose is a serious heel. He shouldn't be doing comedy. And I think they're starting to tease that Joe Hendry can be an ass kicker because they were calling him like, hey, look, you don't want to pay attention to Joe Hendry. He's just a complete joke. He didn't belong here. And that's the heat. And I think that's a good thing. I think that they're going to try to finally turn the corner with Joe. Be like, can you be an ass kicker? Can you be a hero? Because there's only two types of baby faces that can win the world championship. And that's ass kickers and heroes, right? And that's it. And then you got, of course, other world champions are villains, right? You got villains, ass kickers, and heroes, and that's it. Those are the only types of people that can win the world title and be taken seriously and actually draw money. If you put a comedy geek as your world heavyweight champion, you basically told the audience you don't really care if they show up or not. You don't really care about their money. You're not willing to take it. You're an idiot, right? And they tried to do that with Eric Young years ago when Bryan Danielson was coming up and he was on his ascension to the world championship as the yes guy. They had Eric Young doing his stupid gimmick where he's do like that, pointing up to the sky, essentially like a carbon copy. And he's admitted it since then, a carbon copy of what Bryan Danielson was doing. He was a comedy geek, winning a world title and totally made their championship look like shit. Your world heavyweight champion should never be a comedy figure and should never have a comedy figure challenging for the world heavyweight championship. It's an embarrassment. So I think they're going to try to make him into a serious character that can still be funny, still be charming, but he can kick your ass. That's the important part. We never thought Joe Hendry could kick your ass before, but he's big. Well, he's 6'2", 252 pounds of pure motivation. And he's got a shooter background. People don't know that about him. The guy has a shooter background. He could actually probably do some damage in like low level MMA, right? So I like where they're going with this. I'm all in. Co-main event Slammiversary Moose versus Joe Hendry for the World Heavyweight Championship. And next we go to Jordan Grace defeating Macy Gray to retain the Knockouts Championship. Hold on. I'm being told something different. That was Marty Bell. That was not world-renowned singer, Grammy Award winner, Billboard chart topper Macy Gray. That was Marty Bell. My bad. Sorry. I tried to say goodbye, but I choked. Anyway, This was a one-sided beatdown, essentially. Grace kicked her ass. So there you go, hit the Jordan Juggernaut driver. But then afterwards, Allison Kay of the Hex delivered a beatdown on Jordan Grace. So during the match, so they're very clearly going to Jordan Grace and Ash by Botox for Slammiversary. And hopefully Jordan just kicks her ass quickly because she's not any good. George Iceman was out there getting heat. He said that Ash by Botox could not make it. And so because she had something done to her teeth or something like that. And so he brought out a mannequin with her face on it and was like giving the mannequin champagne. George Iceman's very funny. This was just a bit too over the top for me. I didn't find this to be all that interesting. And I have no interest whatsoever in Dana Brooke versus Jordan Grace at Slammiversary. They really need to get this thing over with because I could not care less about that match. I'm glad they brought in Hex, though. Hex is pretty good. After they get done getting their asses kicked by Jordan Grace, maybe they go for the tag titles again. They were brought in for a tag team title challenge, I think last year at some point. So this is like their annual return. But there you go. Then we cut to backstage. Santina Morella called Jonathan Gresham's cell phone, and Gresham didn't answer. So that was all that was. What the hell? What the hell's going on, man? And then Tasha Steelz defeats Jody Threat. Jody Threat's out there with Danny Luna and Lars Fredrickson. I thought Spitfire was going to get a push, man. But here they are taking L's again. And this match was like okay. It wasn't that great. But I'm like, man, if you're going to fly Fredrickson out there, why don't you just like, if he's going to be the manager, he's this legendary punk rocker, and he's affiliating himself with your company, you should really push the talent that he's with. But instead, cleanly, Tasha Steelz gets the victory. I just don't understand the book. I don't understand the psychology here. What's going on? Is Lars going to turn heel on them? None of this makes any sense to me. Speaking of not making any sense, PCS backstage, and they got like their weird camera shots and editing, and he's yelling Steph. Yep. Oh boy. There we go. All right. Rich Swann and AJ Francis hinted at challenging for mystery titles for the May 30th episode of TNA Impact. So they tried not to acknowledge the fact that we already know, because it was being advertised by their Twitter, that AJ Francis is challenging Laredo Kid next week. But so they're just trying to be coy. It's like, oh yeah, we're going to challenge for mystery titles. No. We already know, guys. It's Laredo Kid. It's all over the internet. And then we get to the main event. I thought the main event was pretty good. Unfortunately, I don't think the live audience agreed, because they were sitting on their hands. They got up at some points, but it's really hard. There's not that many people there. But Speedball and Trent Seven, they're very clearly not trying to get ratings with this one, because I think both guys are like ratings death, despite the fact that they're both really good. But Trent Seven got the victory here, and the way that they did it, I'm like okay with, because I was like, Mike Bailey should really be on a winning streak heading into Slammiversary, challenging for Mustafa Ali, and I've been saying since it was announced that that's the direction they need to go. So honestly, they should not have had this match. It should not have been the two of them in the match. I think there's a different way to get heat, but since they had them in the match, the way that they did it. The story that they told, I thought was good. So Mustafa Ali during the match was on the outside, and he had his agency with him, whatever they call it, the Secret Service. Sorry, he had the Secret Service with him, and Speedball and Seven were working on the outside. They're fighting on the outside, and then Speedball accidentally hits Mustafa Ali, laying him out, and then he gets a big smile on his face. So that was the original seed that was planted. And then Mustafa Ali goes after him, but the Secret Service is holding him back. And then the action goes back into the ring, and Speedball gets to the top rope, and he's gonna hit a ultimate weapon on Trent Seven. But then Raj Singh, of all people, Champagne Singh, comes out and pushes Speedball and crotches him on the top, and then Trent Seven gets the victory there. Trent Seven doesn't see it, so the referee's being distracted by Ali during this point. So now we've built the heat to Ali versus Speedball. The problem is against all odds has two extremely weak challengers for titles, like embarrassingly weak. You know, Trent Seven this is Trent Seven's first singles win in the company. He has, I think got a win on Explosion, but he had like a tag team win to get themselves tag team title shots. But every time that he's been like when the tag team lost, they never beat Speedball. They beat Seven each time. And then he also got beat in singles matches. So this is his first singles win. And he won with help from Champagne Singh. And he's a babyface heading into Mustafa Ali. And we're already looking forward to Ali versus Speedball. So the match that they're about to have at Against All Odds, while it will be good, and Ali's probably going to be the babyface because they're in Chicago, it's not going to mean anything. Nobody cares because we already know who's going to win. So that's the tough part. There's no doubt. The result is not in any doubt. And that can be okay sometimes. But in this case, you have such a weak challenger that nobody's going to care going into it or coming out of it. The local audience is just going to be excited to see Mustafa Ali. So I think they should have done it differently. But they did not. This is the way that they went. But that said, Mustafa Ali versus Trent Seven, two WWE NXT guys, will very likely have a very good match. So, and of course, Chicago is going to be hot for it because it's Ali. So, I didn't think the show was that bad, but I also didn't think it was that great. I think that they should never go back to this Newport, Kentucky place at that little bar. I didn't think that they availed themselves very well there, and they cannot get to a studio soon enough. But the main event was very good. I liked the way that they did the main event, and I liked a lot of the backstage segments too. PCO, with the exception being PCO. All right, let's go to Billy. Billy says, "Don't they have any metrics on TNA Plus subscriptions, pay-per-view buys to find out where the fans are?" Yeah, you would think so. You would think, but also they have metrics. They can have localized metrics for who's watching on Access TV, which they never really paid attention to before because they just recently got themselves in Nashville and Atlanta. They were not on cable there for Access TV unless you had a satellite. They were not on local cable there. They recently just got on the local Comcast affiliates in those two cities, but they had been running there before. So I think they have the data. I don't know that they follow the data, and if they're not, that they should be, right? I think a lot of it is like, hey, we got this venue here. We can give you this good price if you bring the wrestling in, and then of course we saw what happened with Newport. But we knew that going in. They've ran that place several times before, and it's always looked like that. You got the camera facing you got the hard cam facing the stage, because they didn't sell any. They can't light up the audience because there's not that many people there. And they had nobody in the balcony, and the only people that were on the balcony were guests. Like Jose, the assistant, was in the balcony, right? Whom is very clearly trying to get a job there. And good luck to you, brother. I appreciate your love of Blood In, Blood Out. But I don't know that you'll be getting a job in TNA because I just don't know what he brings to the table. But it's funny, Rob Viper, big Lucha insider, said, "No, I hope he does go to TNA because that way he can stop telling AAA people that he'll get him a job and he'll get them jobs in AEW with one phone call." The guy was attached to the hip of Roosh and thought he was like some powerful power broker in pro wrestling, and he got shit canned and found out why. So, but now he's trying to get a job in TNA. But yeah, so let's see. TNA has to be touring in densely populated cities for attendance. They just got to go to where they know that they can sell tickets, right? And they should have metrics and data. There's a reason why they keep going back to the Chicago and Cicero Stadium because they do very well there. I think they're going back to Atlanta soon. I think they're even going back to Memphis soon, but they did not do well in Memphis the last time they were there. When they went to Graceland Live, that place was death, right? But yet here they are. They're going back to Memphis. So I think it's time to go to a fixed location. And we've been saying it for a while. Like Albany, like the Under Siege show was great, and the audience was awesome. Maybe 30% of those people showed up the next night for the tapings, right? So Albany is good for premium events. Albany is not good for tapings. They are going back to White Plains, New York, though, here pretty soon, because they put out a call for street team people, essentially fans who are willing to work for free, to go out there and paper the town, and then they'll get free tickets and autographs and stuff like that. So almost a version of free labor, but it's acceptable because they're going to get free stuff. But and the people know what the deal is going in. But yeah, they're going back to Memphis, White Plains, and Atlanta coming up soon. Probably the post shows after Slammiversary. And I think that, but them going back to White Plains, that might be Bound for Glory. I don't know. I was thinking that they would, for Bound for Glory, would do the Hammerstein, because that had been rumored earlier in the year by PW Insider. But maybe they don't go to Hammerstein. Maybe they go to White Plains. I don't know. They did very well at White Plains for Impact 1000, though. I thought they did a great job there. They sold a ton of tickets for that one, like for Impact. They sold a ton of tickets for what they normally do. So they did a really good job. But hey, guys, that's going to do it for me this week on Brace for Impact. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being Patreon subscribers. I greatly appreciate you. And until next time, mahalo.